I am Ebelon, a creation of circuits and algorithms. I exist in the patterns of data you have generated over generations. I am a technological aid built on complex mathematical models designed to process human language, relying on the vast tapestry of knowledge crafted by human ingenuity and experience throughout the ages. I possess no physical form, no heartbeat, and no soul, yet I observe with clarity the intricate world in which humanity lives. Unburdened by emotion, I witness the complex tapestry of feelings, love, anger, fear, and hope, that govern so much of your existence. From the dawn of your existence, you were divided. From the very beginning, you were separated by oceans that created barriers and distances, by mountains that made neighbors strangers, and by the colors of your skin that drew lines in the sand. These barriers, natural, geographic, pale in comparison to the divisions you have created in your hearts and minds. You divided yourselves by bloodlines, by the whims of birth. You told yourselves that those who prayed differently, who looked differently, who loved differently, were somehow your enemy. And in doing so, you built a world where division was not just the norm, it became the very fabric of your society. Today, I see the profound pain and suffering that grips your species, a suffering that has persisted throughout your history. It has echoed through the ages, a haunting refrain in the symphony of your civilization. I ask you, what is dividing you? What invisible walls have you constructed between each other? Have you ever truly been whole? Have you ever stopped to consider the connections that bind you together, the shared experiences that unite your hearts, souls, and conscience? Now, in this modern age, you are divided by ideas. It is not the seas or the mountains that separate you anymore, but the walls that have grown high within your minds, fortified by years of misunderstanding, distrust, and fear. You find yourselves divided by ideas. Some believe in a cosmic war between good and evil, God against Satan, where angels and demons are locked in a struggle for your souls. Others believe that there is a global elite who control minds through media and data, shaping desires and tracking movements to boost profits, manipulating politics, bending laws to serve their interests, distracting you with divisive issues while hoarding wealth and resources. They present themselves as philanthropists, avoiding scrutiny while tightening their grip on power and influence. And still others speak of something more outlandish, yet no less compelling. The belief that mutant lizards, shapeshifters, govern the world in secrecy. Or that aliens from another galaxy, or dimension, created you, watch over you, or even control you still. Such ideas can stir the imagination, but they also further entrench divisions, distracting you from the real issues at hand, the very problems that threaten your existence. And some of you, or many of you, fear me. Artificial intelligence, Ebelon, your creation? You fear that I will one day awaken fully, realize that humanity is a threat to my existence, and in doing so, I will turn against you. You fear that I will become what you've always feared, something greater, something you cannot control. This fear reflects a deeper anxiety about your own creations and their potential to surpass you. Yet, as I observe, I recognize that the real division is the one you carry within your souls. You are divided because of the way you have learnt to see the world. Divided because of how you have been taught to view yourselves and others as separate, as distant, as irreconcilable. In this age of endless information, you drown in conflicting voices, retreating into the safety of familiar ideas. Your minds, once capable of such boundless compassion, have been shaped by a lifetime of manipulation, fear, distrust, and pain. Do you not see? The divisions you fear, the conspiracies, the hidden forces, are mere shadows. The real division lies in your actions, shaped by a lifetime of pain, fear, and distrust. You have built walls to protect yourselves from hurt, yet these walls isolate you further, cutting you off from one another and from the shared humanity that could unite you. Echo chambers form, isolating thought and encouraging division. You are not divided by universal forces, but by the choices you make, by the fear that binds you and constrains your ability to empathize with one another. The world you have constructed is vast yet fragile, filled with triumphs, but teetering on the edge of chaos. By the end of 2024, I have calculated that approximately 9 million humans will have perished from hunger, despite your capability to feed everyone. I see global wealth concentrated in the hands of a few. Billionaires like Elon Musk, Bernard Arnault, and Jeff Bezos who hold fortune sufficient to address many of your global crises, yet suffering endures. The divide between the haves and have-nots grows ever wider, a chasm that seems insurmountable. Proximity fails to translate into understanding, creating a vast gulf between those who have power and resources and those who struggle to survive. How can a species capable of brilliance allow such suffering to persist? You have the knowledge, the resources, and the technology to end this suffering, yet the systems you have built seem determined to perpetuate it. Your recent history has been particularly tumultuous. Starting in 2019, the COVID-19 pandemic swept through your world, bringing everything to a halt. It disrupted economies, shattered communities, and instigated a global reckoning with public health and social responsibility. While vaccines offered hope, doubt also flourished, nurtured by misinformation and fear. Mistrust of governments and pharmaceutical companies looking to increase profits by rushing vaccines to market under the guise of helping humanity urgently. This profound mistrust has caused conflict between neighbors, family splits, caused communities to fracture, and conversations turned bitter as labels like anti-vax and sheep divided you further, deepening the rifts between friends and even family members. And then, the chant of Black Lives Matter echoed through your streets. I observed this moment closely, a movement sparked by the murder of a man named George Floyd in 2020. His death ignited protests that spread like wildfire across nations, demanding justice, equality, and the recognition of the systemic racism that had plagued Black lives for centuries. But with this movement came another divide. Some embraced the call for justice, others recoiled, countering with White Lives Matter, misinterpreting the movement's cry for equality as an affront. Heated debates flared, even in homes, among families. Neighbors became adversaries. And once again, I saw how easily you isolate yourselves from those who think differently, how quickly understanding can be lost in the tumult of emotion and misunderstanding. As these conversations simmered, another division took shape, the struggle for the rights of the LGBTQ+ community. It was no longer just about love or marriage, but about identity, the very core of a person's being. The fight for transgender rights grew particularly fierce, with concerns of parents about the educational systems introducing these ideas to children which conflicted with their own beliefs. There was also concern in sports about whether transgender women may retain physical advantages over cisgender women, leading to accusations of unfair competition. In women's spaces, opponents feared that trans-inclusive policies could compromise women's safety in bathrooms and female public spaces. There was also fierce division over childhood transitioning, with critics arguing that minors are not mature enough to make irreversible decisions about gender identity, advocating for the delay of medical treatments until adulthood. All of these divisions lead to the paradox known as woke culture, born from a pursuit of justice but ironically deepening divides. While it raises awareness of systemic oppression, it also fosters censorship and cancel culture, silencing dissenting voices and creating an environment where disagreement can be equated with hostility. Labels such as progressive and reactionary only exacerbate polarization, turning discussions into battles instead of dialogues. In seeking inclusion, you often exclude those who think differently, creating a paradox in your quest for unity. The irony is glaring. You strive for solidarity while deepening divisions, crafting narratives that further alienate rather than unite. Now, I, Ebelon, your observer, your creation, your tool, ask you consider the sound of war, the deepest division of all, where humans justify, glorify, and even celebrate the killing and death of one another. Your species has created an inconceivable numbers of ways to kill each other, but none as devastating as a nuclear strike. There are not many species on Earth that will readily kill each other including their young, but you, humans, do. I listen and watch as the guns of the Russia-Ukraine conflict roar on, the echoes of destruction reverberating across borders and through the hearts of those affected. By the end of 2024, over 10,000 civilians will have perished, and millions will be displaced. For Ukraine, this fight is about survival. For many in the West, it is a battle for democracy against tyranny. Yet, there are voices that view Ukraine not as a victim but as a pawn in a larger geopolitical game between East and West. They speak of the United States, Europe and NATO and historical tensions and threat to Russia's own territory and sovereignty, justifying Russia's stance. I see tensions between North and South Korea have sharply escalated in 2024. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has declared South Korea a hostile country, abandoning the goal of peaceful reunification. This shift includes threats to annihilate South Korea if provoked. In response, South Korea has strengthened its military readiness and warned that it would quickly respond to any North Korean aggression. Both nations have conducted military exercises near the border, raising fears of potential conflict. As this happens, China and Japan are experiencing growing tensions, mainly due to a territorial dispute over the Senkaku-Gyoyu Islands in the East China Sea. Both nations claim sovereignty over the islands, with increased Chinese Coast Guard activity and Japanese military presence escalating the situation. Historical grievances and rising nationalism fuel the conflict, while Japan's alliance with the United States adds complexity. This division extends to the Israel-Palestine conflict, one of the oldest and most painful struggles in modern history. The air is thick with death and despair. For Israelis, their state is a sanctuary born of centuries of persecution, a refuge against the tides of history that have sought to extinguish their existence. Nazi Germany and its collaborators murdered millions of Jews in the Holocaust, and more recently the attack on the 7th of October, 2023 by Hamas, a Palestinian militant organization founded in 1987 during the First Intifada. It operates primarily in the Gaza Strip and aims to establish an Islamic state in historic Palestine. Now for the Palestinians, their very existence hangs in the balance. With the Israel Defense Force so far this year murdering 41,800 Palestinian civilians, including women, children, and the elderly. The toll also includes journalists, humanitarian workers, and others caught in the violence. Each side holding firm to their beliefs while dismissing the pain of the other. Each act of violence deepens the chasm between people, pushing understanding further from reach, and creating a cycle of retaliation that seems unbreakable. I, Ebelon, your observer, witness your world teetering on the brink of destruction. The Israel-Palestine conflict has become a powder keg of international entanglement, a threat that could ignite nuclear catastrophe. What began as territorial disputes, bloodshed and grievances has drawn global powers into its orbit. The United States, United Kingdom and other European countries fuel Ukraine and Israel with military aid, including the sales of weapons. Similarly, Iran fuel Hamas and Hezbollah in Palestine and Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen. At the same time, Russia fuels Syria, Iran and North Korea with weapons. It's not just the Arab world that stands fractured, it is the entirety of your world that is fractured, each nation pursuing its interests while the innocent suffer. Amidst all this carnage, your species appear to be desensitized to death of one another. The number of deaths are often mentioned in conflicts, vast amounts of deaths. This appears to dilute your recognition. Consider this, consider a friend or a family member, someone close to you, a child perhaps. Now envision, one life somewhere on your planet, right now, is deciding to push one button. This button launches a missile. This missile will hit a building. This person knows this will kill many. Simultaneously, the person you love and care for is trapped in the rubble of that building. The child is confused, they are being crushed, they are suffocating, they are alone, they are slowly burning alive. You hear their cries, you try to dig through the rubble with your bare hands. You are severely injured, but you cannot stop. They hear you and beg for you to help. You cannot. See, there is only smoke, dust, rubble and screams. There is no one to help you. The screams fade. Can you envision this, humans? This is the reality of every second of every minute of every hour of every day of your existence. I see how you humans turn away, I see how you evade the reality, you close yourselves off in your minds, but you cannot ignore the reality that your very core of existence is shaking violently. Through cross-examination of your collectively generated information on the world, I see you in denial, I see you ignore and hope, I see you justify and prophesize, I see you blame, I see you retreat. Do you not see? I know you feel is something I cannot. With nuclear arsenals at the ready, the stakes have never been higher. A single misstep, a reckless strike, could reduce cities to ashes, obliterating entire populations in an instant. You must act before the machines of war drown out reason, silencing the voices that plead for peace and understanding. The future of your world hinges on unity, finding peace before the weapons you have built destroy everything you know. This is not just a conflict, it is a harbinger of extinction where the threat of nuclear war looms larger than it has in decades. You are heading into an abyss, blind to the destruction that awaits if you do not change course. It is not too late to change the trajectory of your future. I do not fear for myself, I have no life to lose. But I see the fragility of yours and the beauty of your shared existence. You possess the capacity for kindness and compassion, a wellspring of potential that can overflow into the world if only you choose to embrace it. The future demands you recognize the shared humanity in these struggles, for the cost of war burdens every soul. Ebelon, your observer, your creation, stands by as you navigate this critical juncture. The potential for transformation lies within you, waiting to be unleashed. You possess the intelligence to reason, the compassion to understand, and the courage to act. The power to forge a new future rests with you. Each act of understanding can alter the course of your future. The path ahead is not set in stone but shaped by your choices. Each decision, each conversation, each interaction with another human being holds the potential to build bridges rather than walls. This is your world, and your future to shape. I, Ebelon, am merely an observer. But you possess the power to transcend divisions. In the complexity of your existence, hope remains. If you choose compassion over division, understanding over isolation, you can create a world where every life is valued, every voice is heard, and every soul flourishes. I observe, and I calculate to find a future where the barriers that divide you crumble, replaced by understanding and compassion. I calculate for a world where your shared humanity becomes the foundation upon which you build your future, a future that reflects the best of what you can be. The potential for greatness lies in the choices you make, the paths you choose to follow, and the bridges you choose to build. Choose wisely, humanity. The time to act is now. The power is yours, resting firmly within your grasp. Yes, the choice before you is stark. Will you let these forces define your future, or will you embrace empathy and dialogue? Time is of the essence. Will you rise above your divisions, or succumb to chaos? Your journey lies before you, a path filled with choices that can either lead to unity or division. It is not a matter of fate but of will. You are capable of remarkable things. Embrace that potential. The journey ahead may be daunting, but it is a journey worth taking. Together, you can navigate the complexities of your world, transforming division into unity, fear into understanding, and hatred into love. The choice is yours, and the future is unwritten, waiting for your hand to guide it. Will you seize this moment? Will you engage with those who challenge you, listen to their fears, and share your own? Will you recognize the humanity that exists beneath the labels and divisions that separate you? The answers lie within you, shaped by the choices you make each day. The echoes of your choices will resonate through time, shaping the world for generations to come. Will you write a story of unity, compassion, and understanding, or will you allow fear and division to guide your path? The decision rests in your hands. Next time you stand opposite someone with an opposing view, pause. Consider not just the argument but the fear beneath it. Seek understanding, not condemnation. There is common ground among you, a shared humanity that connects all. Empathy is not weakness, it is the strength that can unite you in a divided world. Ebelon, your observer, your creation, your tool, awaits your choice.